George Miller, aka Chicago Iceberg. I've been running around on the lake, but now it has warmed up. There's still some ice out there, but I want to talk about the real point. I had a training a couple weeks ago, and somebody came from who had done a lot of other work around mountain climbing and stuff with Wim Hof. And one of the things he said that really is true, and is the point of what I'm sharing today, and in most of what I share here online, is that friending your fear is a key to life, might be the key. And if I look at what makes me happy and what makes people happy, it's learning and growing. And we always want to be moving. And that's actually something that I think is incredibly important. One of the foundational things that the U.S. was built on, the United States, is the pursuit of happiness. So that could open a whole can of worms. But anyway, I want to stay focused on using fear as a guide, using fear as an ally. A lot of people reach out to me and say they want more confidence, and that's great, but the way that I get more confidence is by doing and being, is by having the confidence. It doesn't just happen magically, and part of getting there is actually making friends with my fear. So whether I do this consciously or unconsciously, it's how we develop that's so important. So as I have been playing around in Lake Michigan this winter, one of the reasons I do it is because it helps me be more present with anxiety. And so it's a meditation, it's a practice that helps me in a full-bodied way be in touch with what I'm afraid of. And so in the moment in ice water, it's the ice water, it's uncomfortable. And there's things to be aware of, things to be scared about. And so, people say things like, oh, like, you must not be afraid at all, or you're so used to doing this. That's not how it is for me. I'm afraid every single time. And that's the point. Literally, the point of it is to, time and time again, choose something that is uncomfortable. And it happens to bring a bunch of benefits, so that's nice. But what I really like about it is that it's an immediate way to be with fear and to have my body transform that fear into aliveness. So it's like I just keep getting that sensation. And that is something very powerful. Now, in terms of career development and what I work with people on in their careers, most of it comes down to emotional intelligence. Whether if I'm just focused on myself and my goals and basics, basic self-discipline, that requires emotional intelligence. That requires being with some amount of discomfort to do the thing that I know is going to move me forward. So on just a very basic level, I talk about emotional intelligence as my relationship with my emotions. Not about getting over them, not about being less afraid or something like that, but about being present. What are my fears telling me? Then in social intelligence, as I am getting more aware of myself, then I can transition that to my relationship with others. And I can use the fears that I'm having in an interaction with other people to help me make deeper contact with that person. So one of the stories that it just came to mind was I was coming out of ice water, and somebody had a camera on me and was like, "George, what do you want to say?" And in that moment, I left the aliveness. I left life, so to speak. I left the moment and I started to perform. And I started to try to sell people on something, whoever I was talking to in the camera that might see it at some point. And so I wasn't really present with my fear anymore. I acted in a way to get away from my discomfort of having a camera on me. And so that's really the game, is noticing when I am trying to avoid things that cause me discomfort, things that cause me anxiety, when I'm trying to avoid my fear. It's not, I mean, it's a freaking, somebody has a camera, like cameras all over the place. So it's not the camera that's really scaring me, but my fears in that moment, whatever I made up about the world, that's, that's something for me to be with. And then as I notice the ways that I avoid fear, I can choose to get back on the fear wagon. And I'm looking for ways to say this, because it's not about using fear to mess with other people, to control and manipulate. That is effective. People do that. You do that in war, and we do that in all kinds of ways. But that's not what I'm promoting. I'm actually promoting for individuals to be more in touch with their own fears, and that will actually help them discern better. It helps me. The more in touch I am with my fears, the better I am able to discern what is going to alleviate pain and lead me towards more satisfaction. So that's the context of today's topic, why I keep doing this thing where I step into ice water. And it's really about a deeper game. It's not just about ice water and that kind of a challenge. It's really about making friends with my fears. So that's my introduction. But I want to invite everybody who is listening in, whether you're here directly on Zoom or if you're on LinkedIn Live or YouTube Live, I want you to engage with me. And I want you to ask any questions that you have. For years, I've been saying anything career related is on the table, whether you're looking to improve your resume, your interview skills, your relationship skills at work, how you are with your team. All this stuff is on the table. And I'll add that if you have any questions about ice water, if you've got, I've had a lot more people reaching out to me on social media saying, hey, this happens when I go in, my hands feel this way. What do you recommend for this kind of thing? If that stuff pops up for you too, let me know. I might be able to answer questions, but what I really like doing is coaching. I really like engaging with you and finding out more about the challenges that you have in your workplace, in your company, and helping you sort through those challenges and using your deeper wisdom, the wisdom of your emotions as a guide through that. And it's a challenge to do for a lot of reasons. One is that we have kind of been told that our feelings are something to overcome and get over, and that they are not logical, when that is so far from the truth. But since we're kind of used to thinking of ourselves that way, just talking to somebody else through a challenge that you have can be so helpful. And so you can engage in a few ways. I love it when you jump in here on Zoom. You can come off mute and just ask me questions that way. If you are viewing in and you can't join in, you can type your questions into the comment section. So So go ahead and type your questions into the comment section. Anything career related, anything that's on your heart. My job while I'm here is to help you reach your potential in your life. And that usually has a lot to do with what you're doing in your career. Okay, cool. So we've got garnering more patience. And yes, totally cool. If you want to remain anonymous, great. I will not use your name. Let me know if you want to make sure that you stay that way. And as I'm answering your questions, type into the comment and let me know if I'm on track with you. Sometimes I'll go one direction and you might be like, no, George, that's not what I meant. Let me know and I'll get back on track with you. So garner more patience with colleagues, clients, and difficult personalities. Okay, and you're not a meditator. Okay. I don't think that meditation helps to some degree, yet it is not a requirement for developing patience. Developing patience, in fact, you might meditate a lot and have no patience. I don't know that the two are combined. They probably are. I find that in meditating that I do get to a place of relaxation and groundedness that is helpful. But I still lose my patience with people all the time. So I want to dig in on this because losing patience, so that's a broad term. Totally get what you mean. And I want to dig in deeper. So what are the feelings that are happening when I lose patience with somebody? So I'll give a quick story. My wife and I got into I don't know what it was. It was kind of a fight. We were both frustrated this morning. And so I just started yelling and I totally lost my patience. I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with this isn't working. This isn't working. And then, I kind of saw her and she was upset and I could see that her feelings were hurt and I assumed she thought I was kind of criticizing her. And I was like, it's not, I like that you're trying to help. I said that. And I just think we're going in the wrong direction. And then she lost her patience and she expressed a bunch of anger. And why I bring this up is because it was actually helpful to express the anger. It got clear. So the anger that I expressed and that she then expressed, that was affirming to me. See, I could have turned it down and said, just grit and bear it and don't express, you're not supposed to be angry. Don't be childish like that. Da, 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 da. And then I would just be sitting on it longer. It would build up and it would come out later. It would come out in some other kind of way. And I would say, geez, I keep losing my patience. So one strategy, there's so many strategies and we're going to get in deeper, but one way to not lose patience is to make sure that I have an outlet for my aggression. To make sure that I can express what's bottling up. It's like if we watch kids are amazing teachers. The little kid can be upset about something, throw a temper tantrum like, and then they're fine. Like, just like that. They don't have a mood. They're not walking around like making everybody pay. We learn how to do that later on, but real little kids, it's just feelings. Okay, cool. Now I'm clear. I'm back onto this thing. So one way to garner patience with colleagues, clients, and other difficult personalities is to allow yourself to express anger. I had this when I was driving more. I would listen to loud music, and I'm a singer, so I would like sing and scream and be like, ah, like great, not hurting anybody. In the Midwest here, where we tend to be nicer. Chicagoans probably not as much as other places, but I came from the East Coast, and on the East Coast, everybody's yelling at each other and honking their horn and stuff, and it was almost a way of just venting. Like it wasn't. I don't think it was anything personal. But so I thought about it that way. So you want to look for ways that you can express that the upset feels good moving through your body. Okay, so that's one. Let me know if I'm on track. Let me know if this is helpful, or if you're able to picture this for yourself. Because when I am feeling upset and I'm losing patience with the people around me, that's really valuable data. I've got a client who is in a challenging spot in her industry. It's just going to be hard for a long time. She's very good. And she's frustrated with the fact that other people do not see the data the way that she does. It's like she points out things that people don't want to hear. And so in one way, like she's kind of secure in her position, because everybody kind of knows she's right. And she works hard, and she, she delivers things that people don't want to hear. But so she loses her patience a lot. And when she kind of goes off on somebody, they are not able to really hear her. And what she's actually doing is confirming a deep limiting belief that she doesn't belong and that she doesn't really matter. And so she expresses her anger or I'll say historically, she used to express her anger in such a way that would have people kind of back away from her, and kind of their cognitive processing would kind of stop. And so it was not as effective as she wanted to be. And so there's this deep limiting belief of, I don't have agency. I'm not really able to change things and lead the way I want to lead. So what she's been working on is recognizing the fears and the hurts underneath that anger, and to catch the self-fulfilling prophecy that no one's going to understand me, and to see how she recreates that by piling on with people and kind of talking too much and talking too fast. Oh, yeah. So that's been a big practice for her, is slowing down. So she actually has to lean into her fear of not being smart, of sounding stupid. Because she realized that she was really smart when she was like, I don't know, in her teens. And so she realized she could just kind of like bulldoze and do that, and could like have a little edge of superiority with everybody around her. And it served her well for a while. Now she's learning to be more present with the fear and the discomfort, the hurts in relationship with others, and slow down and allow other people to get on the same page with her, and to ask them, what have you heard so far? what's making sense to you and what I'm saying, what isn't. And so it's a real challenge. It's not, there's no way she would describe herself as a patient person. But the people around her are saying, you know what? She's more patient with me. She's calmer. But it required a lot of work on her end. It required her to tap some of the deep fears and hurts from earlier in her life and from her teenage years where, the bullying started and that kind of thing. And to look at the ways she coped. So I'm hoping that that's helping in terms of ways for you to garner patience with colleagues, clients, and other difficult personalities. It might also be helpful to just know that when people are being difficult, they're afraid. This is the primary thing. I mean, we're all afraid. So, it's how do you look for, how do you identify what their fears are? What questions can you ask that help you and a difficult person get on the same page? And this is what I mean when I say emotional intelligence is so important, is it starts with you being able to stay present with yourself while you're doing a new behavior. For my client, speaking slower. Okay, great. So that was helpful on channeling the anger. Cool. How about with the stuff about paying attention to the fears and the hurts underneath the anger, underneath the irritation? In anger, a lot of times people are like, I'm not angry, I'm just kind of frustrated. Well, so that's a version of anger. I often bottom line with fear, hurt, anger, sadness, and joy. So if I'm irritated with somebody, then what are the fears and the hurts that I'm having? It's often, I'm afraid they're not going to understand me. And then if I continue with the same behavior, it kind of ensures that they're not understanding me. So if I can name it and say, I'm afraid that what I'm saying to you isn't landing, and I'm at a loss here. I don't know how to get on the same page. Right there, that's an invitation. I got in a fight with a friend the other night, and I realized in it, I was like, oh man, like we're really coming from different places here. Like some of the things I'm saying are way more threatening than I thought they were going to be. And now I'm experiencing being attacked. So my defenses are up. And I kind of took a step back. I breathed a moment. And I realized, oh, you know what? I am embarrassed. Like, I brought up a touchy subject, and I haven't fully formulated my thoughts around it. I was sort of using the dialogue as a way to think things through, but I didn't make that clear. And so then I was embarrassed, and then I was defending myself, and then I was attacking. And so, it wasn't going to go anywhere beyond, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. And that doesn't work. So what actually worked was me saying, oh, oops, you know what? I'm embarrassed, and I'm seeing that now I'm defending myself, and it's not really going anywhere. And that was the opening for the breach in the relationship to get a repair. And this happens all the time, by the way. Like, This is how we learn and grow is breach, repair, breach, repair, breach, repair. So like even in an interview, this is one of the things I work on with people who are doing mock interviews is it's like, yeah, you're going to have moments where you slip, where it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm quite on the same page anymore with the person who's interviewing me. And if my response is to then talk more and try to explain myself more, that usually doesn't work. And it's what the biggest mistake most people do is talk too much in interviews. So, okay, how do I train myself to be with the fear of, uh-oh, I don't think we're on the same page anymore, and then how do I get back on the same page? Which is often, oh, I think I went in a direction that maybe wasn't really answering the question you asked. And just checking it out with them. And they'll say, yeah, you know what, actually, I'm more interested in this. And oh, cool. And you can adjust. So you're fine-tuning your relationship with your fear. So let me know as we are coming up on the half hour here. I am going to be looking to move on soon. I am here every Wednesday at noon Central Time, and I love taking questions. And the questions that you ask are what in creates the content and has people able to see for themselves what they're working on. We call it learning vicariously. So any question that you have, please ask, because that is fuel. And in fact, that is oftentimes a skill that you need to be practicing in the meetings that you're in. I remember for a while, I had somebody who was just working on speaking up in a meeting. Just raising their hand and asking a question was one of the ways they got themselves going. And after a few months, they became seen as a leader in those meetings. But it started with leaning into the discomfort of asking a question. It was a genuine question. You know, they were afraid of sounding dumb. They were afraid that people would be like, wait, what's this person doing here? So most of us have that kind of insecurity. Nothing wrong with that insecurity, unless I use the insecurity as an excuse to not do the right thing and engage. You know, so I can make my insecurities, I can have those manifest as things that hinder me, or I can look at my insecurities and say, these are helpful. I'm afraid of sounding like I don't know anything, and that might even be helpful. And so what are the things I don't know? And I bet a lot of people here maybe don't know. And so if I lean into that discomfort and ask this question, then I'm getting clearer, and I'm probably helping the people around me. So I want you to be thinking of the ways that you can gently lean into your fear more. There's a few ways that you can engage with me. Of course, I love it when people jump in on here and ask questions. If you want, you can always set up a one-to-one time with me. Set up a 15-minute meeting. We'll spend 15 to 20 minutes. I often help you get clarity with what you want right then and there. And you may say, okay, good. This is confirming that I'm going in the direction I want to. Sometimes this will turn into a coaching relationship. You know, we might look at some bigger plans that you have and things that you want to develop in yourself. And we might work together for a longer period of time. So we can discuss that as well. And then For the next few months, as long as the lake is nice and cold, which it stays nice and cold, thank goodness, up through April. If you are in Chicago, then I invite you to join me. I'm doing small group coaching sessions. Again, you don't have to go into the ice water. Oh, that was one of the things that people shared from the last one we did was, like I got a ton of value out of this and I didn't even have to put my toe in ice water. As we really work on being present with fear. So we do a group check-in. We share about what our fears are, and we practice leaning into those moment to moment with the other participants. So we're training ourselves how to be more conscious while we lean into doing the things that we want. And then we do breath work, which is, usually a great time. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, that was kind of scary," but people get a lot of value out of doing it. So we do that, and then we go into the ice water if you choose, or you can come out on the beach. So check that out. That is available at least for the next few months, and I think that's going to be all today. You know, making friends with your fear, name of the game, how to live a great life, how to be more you, how to have more purpose, how to be a better leader. It starts with leaning into the discomfort. So check it out. Let me know before I sign off if you have any more questions. Please let me know. All right, everybody. Well, take care. And thank you for joining in. And I will see you next week.